and welcome to Eduscope. My name remains Dr. Iroro Stephen Izu, and on this edition of Eduscope, we're going to be looking at the paradox of languages without communication. The paradox of languages without communication. Let me first welcome you to year 2024. It is a year that promises to be, a very splendid year, a very exquisite year, a year that I wish you, all the best that you wish yourself. I wish you God's best, in this year. Please, I want to remind you to subscribe, to our YouTube channel, to follow us, to like our page, to share, our page and leave a comment for us. We want to hear from you. We want to know, how your impression, about our videos. The paradox of languages, without communication. The essence of language is to facilitate communication, to facilitate understanding, between and among, people. And when people understand themselves, when people are able to apprehend, to comprehend, themselves, they, tension, distrust, situation of mistrust, are whittled down. Now, but when people do not understand themselves, out of a lack of understanding of what is being communicated, there will be a kind of, artificial or even natural, reaction and rejection, against such a lack of understanding. So it is important for people to understand themselves, through languages, that are used, as medium, of communication. Now, Nigeria has more than 350, languages, both major languages and minor languages, because we have more than 300 ethnic groups in this country. So the country is highly plural, is highly multicultural, multinational, is multi-ethnic and multi-religious. So now, but Nigeria is not the only country that, has this multiculturalism, or even polycentric, tendencies. There are several countries in the world, that have this diverse characterization, and but they have been able to manage, such a diversity. But we in Nigeria, appear not to have been able to manage, this diversity, and so we have a lot of situations, of conflict, and conflagration. Remember, Obafemi Awolowo said that Nigeria is nothing but a mere geographical expression. That means we are just a geographical space of emptiness, of nothingness, of formlessness. So but we must rise beyond the ashes, of such a pessimistic, assertion, and begin to build a nation, from our diverse nationalities. Now, in a plural society like Nigeria, in a multinational society like Nigeria, there is the natural tendency, for there to be centrifugal forces. Centrifugal forces are forces that tear people apart, that divide them. Things like ethnicism, religious bigotry, regionalism, things that tear them apart. But you also have the situation, you also have the possibility of centripetal forces, which are forces that bring people together, that unite people together. So we must begin to advance, the centripetal forces, over and above the centrifugal forces, so as to build a nation out of our diverse nationalities. Now, there appears to be some persons that benefit from our divisiveness, from our disunity, from our lack of harmony. There appears to be some persons who are commercializing or privatizing or even trying to, make money, from the situation of Babel that we have found ourselves today. Nigeria, for now, can be described, as one mighty Babel. Babel represents a cacophony of languages, a confusion, a bewilderment, ignited as a result of, contradictory and conflicting languages, which result in lack of communication. You go to some offices in Nigeria, and what they want to hear, from you or see, about you is that they want to know whether you are speaking their language. Whether you are a Yoruba person, you are Igbo person, you are a thief person, you are a job person, these are syndromes, of a backward nation, because it is facilitating mediocrity in our country. Mediocrity in our country. So, contracts are not given on the basis of expertise, on the basis of competence, on the basis of a capability. Contracts, employments, appointments, even admission into higher institutions, are given on the basis of ethno-religious sentiments or ethno-religious affiliations. Now, these, are myopic, naive, short-sighted, counterproductive, factors or indices used, to allocate values in society. And that is why we cannot make serious progress in this country. In Nigeria, before you are said to be a Nigerian, you must be a Yoruba man, an Hausa man, and a Jaw man, a Tiv man, and a Gala man, and a Robo man, and so on and so forth. And this has become a major hindrance to our national oneness and national prosperity. Now, if you look at Rwanda, for instance, Rwanda was a country that experienced, a genocidal war in early 90s, 1994, between the Hutus, and the Tutsi. And over a million people, or over a million Tutsi, were murdered, by, the Hutus. But do you know that today in Rwanda, there is nothing like the Hutus and the Tutsi? If you go to Rwanda and say, what ethnic group are you? Nobody will tell you that I'm a Hutu or I'm a Tutsi. They will say, I am a Rwandan. I'm a Rwandan. They have elevated themselves, their consciousness beyond the ashes, of ethnicity and ethnicism. So can we get to a status in Nigeria, the point in Nigeria, where we will not say that I'm a Fulani man, I'm an Hausa man, I'm an Urobo man, I'm an Igbo man, I'm an Ijaw man, I'm a Tiv man, I'm a Isoko man, and so on and so forth. I am a Nigerian. We can, of course. We can't get to the point of saying that I'm a Nigerian, and not another thing. Shuba Okadigo, the late Shuba Okadigo, a very erudite scholar, he said that one of the major problems, confronting Nigeria is the fact that the horizontal and the vertical, interpenetration, has not been properly understood. That we must be able to understand the vertical and horizontal interpenetrations so as to get the calculus of the Nigerian society and be able to make progress in this country. He was talking, about the fact that we need to understand ourselves. In the early days, of nationalist struggle, and then the emergence, of the ex-nationalist leaders, as the leaders of the new nation. Now, people, Unamdi Azikiwe and Ahmedu Bello, had some, quarrel, and trying to resolve their, their quarrel. Unamdi Azikiwe said that let us forget, our let us forget, our misunderstanding, and let us move on. Ahmed Bello said that no, let us understand, our differences, so that we can move on. You don't just forget about your differences. You try to understand the differences. How do you understand the differences? By communication. So how do we transit, from being a Babel, to being, a nation of harmony, of understanding? It's very simple. Those who perpetrate and perpetuate, this division among us, are weak leaders. Weak leaders, not just political leaders, weak leaders at every level. Weak CEOs, weak managers, weak, bosses in the office, weak, politicians, weak, and councillors, people who are weak. Leaders who promote ethnicism, religious bigotry, they are weak leaders. They want to hide, under or behind, the cover or the camouflage, of their ethnic, and tribe, to promote, their own, to cover up their weakness or their weaknesses. A leader who knows what he's doing will do everything to ensure that he brings on board every competent hand, not trying to deny other persons because of the fact that you are weak. So now people who promote, divisiveness among people, on the basis of ethno-religious, differences, are weak leaders. We must begin to call them, by their name. Another factor that facilitate, or encourage this ethno-religious divisiveness, this lack of understanding, among Nigerians, is the weaponization of poverty. Poverty has been weaponized in Nigeria. And so, anybody that can give you food to eat, you tend to be loyal to the person. It is the person you understand his language. So handouts, giving of a handouts, arms, small, small, gestures, to people, make them, to want to kill, for people who are creating, perpetuating this divisiveness. Illiteracy is another factor. Ignorance. So we must begin to understand the fact that Nigeria can only make progress when we are united and not when we are divided. And those who are capitalizing on our divisiveness must be called to order, must be shamed, must be jailed and booed until we harmonize, we harness, our energies. We can't make any headway in this nation. Somebody once told me that if you were from my religion, or even from my state, my side, with all this your book that you have read, you would have been given a very major appointment. So I cannot be given because I'm not from your religion or from your ethnic group. So you see, the mirage we face in this country. It is a cacophony. It is a bewilderment. It is a frustrating situation that need to be changed. At every level, you as an individual, whether you are a leader or you're a follower, whether you are in any office or any position, you must begin to behave dispassionately, and make our country, a great, again. Paradox of languages without communication. Until we meet again, I remain Dr. Errol Stephen Izu. Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much, and have a great year.